faith without works is dead. I mean, of all people, I quote, James would be the last and the least. But he was right, didn't he? Not works of righteousness, jackass. Faith works. I can look at a chair all day long until I go sit my ass in it. That's faith. That's action to believe that chair will support me. I can sit there and theorize about that chair all day long. But until I go and plant my tail in that chair, that's faith. Pisteo, in the Greek, is faith. There's no middle ground in the faith, in the Greek. You're either going forward or backwards. There's no neutral. Most of you are stuck in neutral. You're in mediocrity. Get my video, mediocrity equals hell. Hopefully most of you are lukewarm. Jesus said, I'm going to vomit you out of my mouth. I want you cold or hot. Hot or cold. Now let's look at this Pharisee here. Traits of him. Matthew 12:2. And at the season he sent the husband a servant that he might receive from the husband of the fruit of the vineyard. Oh, 12:14, excuse me. I don't know where I get 12:2. And when they were come, they said unto him, Master, we know that thou art true and carest for no man. See how this is the Pharisees talking. They always try to come with flattery. Saying nice things, sweet things. But watch, they pull the dagger out and try to stick it in Jesus' back. For thou regardest not person of men, but teachest the way of God in truth. They come to me, Brother Jay, you're a real man of God. This jackass did the same thing. This jackass phony preacher, I like your stand against abortion. I like your stand that you take. You do have some good things. Jackass, I don't care about your praise. That's what you don't understand. I don't know, well, that was arrogant. I serve God. I care about the praise of him. I don't care what you think of me. Just letting all of you know that. Jesus said you seek more to praise of men than you do the praise that come from him. Along with my Father in heaven is happy with me. And that's usually going to be offensive to man anyway. And if I offend you, good. It's what Jesus said, woe unto you when men praise you and say good things about you all the time. There I know I'm in the danger zone. I'm offensive. I realize that because the God's word is offensive. And that's what I represent. That's why I got Christ put on the cross. He wasn't offensive. Look at him, flattery. I'm showing you the MO of the Pharisees. I told you. Satan comes as angel of light. Here you go. Here's his minions right here. The legalists are his minions. And when they come, they say unto him, Master, we know that thou art true. You tell the truth, Brother Jay. Yes, you know the word, but this is what you need to work on. And boot goes right in the tail, and they go right through the upright every time. That's how I do it. And cares for no man, for thou regardest not the person of men, but teachest the way of God in truth. Flattery gets you nowhere with me, you Pharisees. You can find out this week. It is lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not. Here's the setup. Trying to set him up. They're trying to get him to say something against the government so they can get him arrested. But they did it through flattery. They hung on his tongue. Shall we give or shall we not give? But he knowing their hypocrisy. And that's what they are. Get my video, thou hypocrite. That's what legalists are. That's what that phony pastor, that phony FEMA pastor I was dealing with was a hypocrite. Guarantee you, if I was to put a private detective on him, I'd find out all kind of little naughty things he's doing behind closed doors. And what a traitor he really is. And I bet you he got a FEMA check too. Might be in the little boys and girls too. Like a lot of these, they're coming up against Trump are. Shall we give or shall we not give? But he, knowing the hypocrisy, said unto them, why tempt ye me? Christ smoked them out too, seen right through him. It's the Son of God. You ain't going to get past him. Bring me a penny that I may see it. And they brought it. And he said unto them, whose image is inscription? And they said unto him, Caesar. And Jesus said unto them, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God. Get my video. Titled by the same thing. Render unto Caesar. Jesus smoked them out. What Jesus said was a revolutionary statement. Everything was Caesar. Caesar was God. But Jesus added God and put him on par with Caesar. And they marveled at him. That was a double-edged sword answer that cut both ways. God's over Caesar. But Jesus, what he said was, recognize both. Give God his cut and give Caesar his. Now, just showing you the MO, how they try to use flattery to trip you up. John 8:3-4. This female pastor said the thing. They only said a lot of nice things before he laid into him. That's what they do. That's their MO. He didn't come with, breathing fire. No, he said some nice things about Brother Jay before he reprimanded. John 8:3-4. For me being a Trump supporter. And how we are to be political as the church. You jackass. You wouldn't have a church if it wasn't for the Constitution. Jackass. That's our king. Lex Rex is the king of this nation. The law is king. The Constitution, jackass. Romans 13. You're to honor that. And you are to be a part of that. And you're to resist those that try to tear rip the Constitution to shreds. You're to be resistant of those. It's your duty as a Christian to not remove yourself and put your head in the sand like an ostrich when someone threatens our Constitution. Jackass. You know how many Christians didn't vote, talking about they ain't participating, and almost let a witch get in the White House, and thinking that God is going to rescue them. There's going to be a lot of shocked people in the lake of fire in here that didn't know they were enemies of God and fought, just like in the Bible, that fought against God's people, thinking, just like the Pharisees. Pharisees fought against Christ, thinking they were working for God. So is these people. There's going to be a lot of rude awakening in here, in Lake of Fire. All right, moving on. John 8:3. Giving you the MO. How you can recognize these Pharisees. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. Now, what were they doing? How did they know this woman was committing adultery? I'll answer that. They were spying on her. Pharisees are spies. They're stone throwers and spies. They brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, threw her in the middle of the crowd, caught her, and the woman, if they caught her, might have been naked. Didn't say anything about her having clothes on. Drug her right out of there, nude. Perverts spying on this woman while she's having sex. Had nothing to do with that. Between her and her husband. They said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act, caught on the downstroke. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. What sayest thou? Trying to set him up. Always. That's what Pharisees do. Always trying to set a trap for it. Using the word of God. They're using the word of God to do it. That's what they do. Thank God, God trained me to deal with them there too. This they said, tempting him. That's what they do. They're working for the tempter, Satan. That's what he does. That they might have to accuse him. Set him up. But Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground, as though he heard them not. So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone at her. That's where I got the title, the stone throwers. Now the word criticize, you ever heard of a critic? Someone that's criticizing? I'm going to give you the history of that word, the etymological meaning of the word criticize. So the next time you know when you're dealing with a critic. Now the word criticize comes. The very root meaning, gonna guess where it comes from, class? Raise your hand if you think you know where it comes from. Stone throw. The very etymological meaning of the word. Those that throw stones. Isn't that amazing? Criticize. That's why I love words. God created all this using the word. Christ is the word. Words are very important. The word criticize, to find fault, to judge, to scold. That's what these Pharisees do. These Pharisee types. Always finding fault, always judgment, always criticize. And they don't criticize the enemy. They ain't finding fault with the enemy. They ain't scolding the enemy. They're scolding those that are fighting the enemy. Like Christ. Christ came to undo the works of Satan, the devil. That's what his mission was. Christ was on a mission to save us, to seek and save that was lost. And they were resisting him and fighting him every step of the way. Criticize, critic, remember that. It's the etymological meaning of that word. Now Jesus told him, he lifted himself up and he told him, let me back up. And again he stooped down and rolled on the ground. Now they don't tell what he was writing. And they which heard it being convicted by their own conscience, at least they had something left to be convicted, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even to the last, and Jesus was left alone. You could hear the stones going plop, plop, plop. Because he without sin cast the first stone. We all sinned. Jesus said, if you lust after a woman in your heart, and I've done that 1,000,000 times, I would have been stoned 1,000,000 times under the law. Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had lifted himself up and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, Woman, where are thine accusers? Have no man condemned thee? Where them Pharisees at? Those perfect Pharisees. She said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said to her, Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. I'm giving you the M.O. of Pharisees. Now we know they stone throwers, critics, perverts. They like to spy on you. They use flattery to open the door, to try to set you up. They like to set you up. And they work for the state. They work for Caesar. They're loyal to Caesar, the government. And in this case, they're loyal to the globalist government, not the government of the United States of America. Not this bunch, these FEMA camp people working for the globalists themselves, the NWO. They working for Satan and his crew. This nation was founded on Christianity and on biblical principles, like I stated earlier, by musket-toting pastors with gunpowder. That's how this nation was founded, not the cowards you see today behind the pulpits. that makes my blood boil. Okay, go to Galatians 2:4. Still on spine. Galatians 2:4. That's what these Pharisees do. These Pharisee types. These modern day Pharisees. That's thinking they're working for God. Yeah, like they did. They thought they was all that they did to stop Christ. They believed, and sincerely in their heart, they was on God's side. They were blind. And Jesus said, you're blind. Give them a teaching the blind, parable to Caesar. Jesus said, you're blind. You said you work for the devil. He said, your father's the devil. Jesus told them to their face, you're working against me, thinking you're working for God. But you're not. And same with this bunch, same with that 501c3 female pastor. He really thinks him coming up against me, he's doing God's work. Just like this bunch did. The ones coming up against Trump think they're doing God's work. God raised up Trump. They're on the wrong side. Period. And for those that are supporting Trump, they're raised up against. On the globalist side, got their FEMA badges. Ready and willing to put us in camps and have us executed. That's what they're playing on. Before God raised up Trump. Totally sold out to the false prophet and the beast system, the Antichrist. Ready to get their mark. Like I said, they'll be lined up, first in line, get the mark of the beast. Thinking they're working for God. Satan is their God. Now, Galatians 2:4. And because of false brethren, this is Pastor Paul. He had to deal with false brethren all the time. I had a lot to say about false brethren. This 501 CP3 fake FEMA pastor is a false brother. And I'll tell him that to his face. Hope he's watching and listening. Most of them are. And that's a good thing. I can talk directly to my enemies. I'm nothing hypocritical about me. I won't say nothing behind your back. I won't say in your face. And that because of false brethren, unawares, brought in, they sneak in. They ain't necessarily brought in. They always sneaky and creepy. They done crept in on my social sites, social media sites. Crept in. They sitting here among us now. Who came in privately to spy out our liberty. Now the spying out of liberty he's talking about, they went to the urinal to use the restroom. And while they went to use the urinal, these spies looked over their shoulder to see if their penises were circumcised. So they spied on their penises. Like they spied on a woman. That was called the sex act. You see how they are? That's what the Bible calls them perverts. Perverts. Paul and his fellow minister couldn't even use the restroom. Two ministers used the restroom. Without these spies looking at their penis. I mean, I've used a lot of urinals, but I bet not see no man peeping over the urinal. Looking at Brother Jay after he whipped it out. Oh, that's not going to happen. But this is what they're dealing with. And that because of the false brother, in other words, brought in, who came in to privately spy out our liberty. We can't even take a piss without them looking at our penis, which we have in Christ Jesus, that they might bring us into bondage. See if they circumcised or not, so they can accuse them. Which they did. Well, one of them wasn't circumcised. And they went and told. To whom we gave place by subjection, not even for an hour. Paul said we didn't put up with it for a second. Like I told you, Paul didn't put up with them either. Paul resisted them, stood up to them. He stood up to the Pharisees in his day, to the legalist bunch in his day. That the truth of the gospel might continue with you. Paul resisted them. And that's what Brother Jay did. I resist them. They're going to get the boot here. You come step into me, you get the boot. Don't think I'm going to turn the other cheek with you. You're going to get a boot right through the upright. Give you some tough love. Jesus said, whom I love, I rebuke and chasten. I'll give the boot to you. That's what Brother Jay does. Give you some tough love. I ain't giving you that syrupy kind. Now get my video, March and Keep Your Mouth Shut. So make sure that goes up on my side. Now, so we got that down. That they're perverts, spies. Go to Luke. They love the praise of men, these Pharisees. Go to Luke 20:46. They love status. They love to sit and be special at events and places. They love the good life. Jet set. $1,000 suits. Or thousands of dollars, some of them, for these suits. Some of these Pharisees. They love the praise of men. Luke 20:46. That's why they disdain Jesus. So why are you hanging with this poor, lonely bunch of these street people here? Why are you hanging with these street people, Jesus? She should roll like us. Look at us with our fancy robes and slippers. And sitting in the prominent places in society, social status. See how we sit on the pinnacle of that echelon of society. That's what Jesus had to say about it. Beware of the scribes, which desire to walk in long robes and love greetings in the marketplaces. Love to be seen of men and praised of. And the highest seats in the synagogues, in the churches. They want the best seats. And the chief rooms of the feast. Banquets. When they have their seminaries and their, excuse me, not their seminary, what you call when they take the show on the road. Preacher conventions, there you go. When they have their conventions, just put it in modern terms. They love the best hotels, best seatings, and the best prostitutes too. And the chief rooms at the feast, which devour widows' houses. They had a big thing in the news not too long ago, these preachers having widows sign over their property. Talking about you got nobody to leave it to, sister. Give it to the church. Praying on these, and the families come to get something and the church got it already. The kids didn't know. That's what Jesus talking about here. Oh yeah. These apostate churches are famous for that, including that one in Rome. The Jezebel whore church in Rome, famous for that. Which devour widows' houses, and for a show make long prayers. And the same shall receive greater damnation. I had to write this. Christ wrote it. He's the word. He just said you're going to receive damnation. You heard it coming from Christ himself. You think you're going to heaven? You got another thing coming. You fake female pastors, you're being damned too. Oh, one more verse, almost overlooked. And they'll sell you out to Caesar. Look at Matthew 27:3. They sell out ours. They sell you out. They sell out, they're sold out, and they will sell you out. They make that clear. Because they already sold out. But they'll sell you out too. Because they love money. Love money, root all evil. They're evil. These fake, phony brothers. So-called pastors, which are New Age Pharisees. With the same M.O. as these Pharisees here. That's why I wanted you to, the spirit that's working in them hasn't changed, so they haven't changed. Just the times have changed, but the spirit is the same. They work for the devil. And Satan is their God. They demons possess most of them. Don't realize it. Religious demons. Got religious demons too. Them the hardest to exercise. Believe me, I know from history, as a fact. Those could sit up under scripture and Bible quoting all day long. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself, and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests, to the Pharisees and elders, saying, I have sinned, and that I have betrayed the innocent blood. Now even Judas got it. See what they do. See if they get it. And they said, what is that to us? See that to that. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple, and departed, and went and hanged himself. He had more character than him. And the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, it is not lawful. Look at this. It's the law. And that's the title of my video. It's the law. These legalistic hypocrites. It is not lawful. It's lawful for you to betray Christ, put him on the cross, set him up. But it's not lawful for you to pick up the money and put it back in your pocket. It is not lawful. It's lawful for them to murder a man. Set him up and murder him. But it's not lawful for them to take the money and put it back in their pocket. See how far off base these people get when you're out of step and out of sync with God? Straining at gnats and swallowing camels. It is not lawful for to put them in the treasury, because it is the price of blood. They just admitted, they said that they killed Jesus. Paid off Judas. And now they got a legal technicality where they can't put the money back in the courtroom, the treasury. Sell you out. Because they're sold out. These Pharisees, these legalists. Now, this message came off kind of hard. Well, Brother Jay was upset, but this message is still the message. Beware of these Pharisees. Christ told you to beware. These modern day Pharisees, these fake brethren, false brethren, they creep in unaware. Be aware of them. The Bible said, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, has a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. 2 Peter 5:8. Satan comes as angel light. Beware of false brother and sister. Holy brother better than you, and sister holier than thou. Beware. Pharisees in disguise. That come in with flattery. I gave you the MO. Rewind the video so you know the MO. Because you got a lot of people that have left the church because of the same crap that Brother Jay is pissed off about right now. And some turned on God, and God turned back to them and got them turned back. And it's a lot of church taking place in homes now and outside the traditional four walls of denominations. People having church at home. I have a friend who started a home ministry. He's a pastor with individuals that meet in his house or different homes on Sunday. I know a lot of that going on. This is street priest ministry. This ministry is on the street, on the internet street. That's what this ministry is on. I come into thousands and maybe millions of people's homes around the world that turned their back on the so-called traditional church world because of the buffoonery and the crap that they have to deal with, the Pharisaical crap and the prosperity pimp crap, and you can go on and on. False doctrine crap that they discern was not of God. And they just want God's word without the traditions of men attached. And that's what we do here at Street Priest. Now, if I'm the one that taught you, go to Galatians 6:6. Give material things to the one that taught you. I'm talking to the ones that have been taught. Tithes, first fruit, alabaster box. Belong to the Lord. Don't be a thief and a robber. Go to hell behind that because of these prosperity pimps that turn so many of us off. But God still expects us to be wise stewards with the possessions that He's given us and to testify to His word through those that teach The storehouse is where you receive your spiritual food. If it's here, street freeze, give here, street food. Including your thieving bastards that's been sitting gleaning and haven't given a dime. Now, good day to you. Good evening. Good night to you around the world. May you grow in faith. In Jesus' name.